Hey everyone, so this is the Reddit thread I made yesterday, just introducing the idea that hey, would more callouts for TF2 benefit the game in any way? It got a lot of varying reviews. A lot of people thought, no, it's fine the way it is. So I just figured I'd make a video, because I'm not really good at making examples, but in the video I'm going to have multiple clips of different examples that I'm going to use to, not push my point, but try to get it over into other people's eyes. So this video is going to be in multiple parts. The first part is going to be about the different games I've played in the past and how the different tools and instruments built into the game and out of the game via people affect the communication skills that happen within teams. The second part is going to be where I go into TF2. I'm going to take the same example I've been using, Snake Water second point, and I'm going to describe why I think that more callouts would benefit. And in the third part, I'm just going to rant about. See, I haven't played the game in many years. I've come back, and it seems to be in the same state that it was. It hasn't improved at all intellectually, and I think that's a problem. And I'm just going to rant a little bit about that. You might like it, you might not, but skip to whatever part of the video you feel comfortable with and you want to learn a little bit more about. In this part of the video, I'm going to use CSGO as an example. And before you close your ears or turn off the video, it's actually a really good example, and I think it would be beneficial to listen to. So in CSGO, you have the terrorist and the counter-terrorist side, and the only way for the terrorists to win is if they kill all the counter-terrorists, or if they plant the bomb and the bomb explodes. Well, the second scenario, you can have counter-terrorists alive, actually, and this happens quite frequently. It's called saving guns. And in TF2, you spawn with your whole arsenal of weapons. In CSGO, if you die, you actually have to repurchase them in the next round, and you get money based off what happened in the last round and rounds prior to that. So let's say we planted the bomb in the B site over here, and we're going to be chasing this last guy. We know he's an A site player. He's been opping A site for the last 5 rounds because they've been winning. We're finally going to win a round. He's going to save here, somewhere on the A site. He could be long now. He could be sitting in pit. He could be up here by Goose. He could be in the A site. He could be anywhere. So we're just going to go hunt him down as a team. We're going to send one guy Cat, and I'm going to come from CT spawn. And we're going to try to kill this guy because, saving off for the next round is a huge investment. It's 4750 plus armor plus nades if he has any. So if we can take that down, that's a lot of money that the other team loses. So now let's see what happens. Well, let's say this guy here who has 6% health, right, on Goose, he comes over here and he kills this cat guy. Well, what can this cat guy give to me? Well, he can give 2 different callouts. He can say, oh, the guy's on a site. Or he could say, oh, the guy's Goose. And we're going to see how that changes what I do based off the information given to me. Now, of course, you could definitely have an argument for saying this guy is, he's at the A site, but he's not actually at the A site. So let's say he tells me the guy's A site. Well, I'm going to come here. I'm going to throw a nade just like this. Okay, not like that. That's actually a really bad nade. Sorry, I haven't played in a week, so I'm probably like a little bit bad right now. So I'm going to throw a nade that lands right here. So you see this? It actually lands a little bit before the display is. So it's going to land right here somewhere. So if he was in the A site at all, and I'm assuming that he actually is in the A site, and that he's holding an angle like this, or he's holding an angle like this, and let's say he has this 6% health. Well, if a nade lands right here, it's basically anywhere around here, this guy's going to die. I know he has no health, so I threw the grenade. I don't have to run up and take a battle, so I'm just going to throw a nade, hope it hits him. So what happened? Well, he's not dead, right? Well, now we're going to say, hey, what if the guy told me he was Goose? Well, I'm going to throw a nade like this. And that nade landed over here, nowhere near him, really. But it still killed the guy, because I got a really nice call. He told me exactly where the guy was, so I could act accordingly, right? And this is why I think having really good call-out spots, maybe even specific call-out spots, could be really beneficial for TF2, and I'll explain that later in the video. Right now I'm going to describe how many are in CSGO, just to give you an example. So here you have long box or rail box, you have rail, you have sight box or single box, you have behind single box, you have long plant, you have in the A site, you have double box here, you have behind double, you have goose, you have barrels, you have more barrels, you have, I call these Indian boxes, you have Guardian here, and you have Ninja. So there's so many spots that you can call out, and it doesn't take somebody that's insanely smart to remember all these. It comes really instinctively after you play the map a few times and somebody tells you what they are. Also, something to note in the top left, you can see it kind of tells you a couple spots like back of A, bomb site A, and this would be equivalent to TF2. So this is the whole A bomb site, and this is the back of bomb site A. But this doesn't really give you a lot of information. If somebody called out back of A, I would have no idea. I would throw a nade, probably that would land right here. Definitely not over here. And this is what the TF2 calls are equivalent to. And that's why I think there needs to be either more of them, or they need to be, in better spots that cover less area. And that would basically be adding more spots for callouts. In the last example of CSGO, it was pretty basic, right? It was your team tells you somebody's there. So you react and you fire something at the same spot and the person dies, right? That's pretty basic. In this next example of Dota 2, I'm going to take it at a more advanced level, and we're going to predict where our enemy is going to go. So this is the view that you get as a player, right? You have a small section of the screen, you have a minimap down here, and for this example I'm not even going to use the minimap. Let's just say, I just want to show this so that people can know you can't see the entire map on the big scale, like that you're actually moving around on. So we're going to go right into this example. Oops. So let's say you just had a team fight on your high ground. The other team came up and they're basically just dying to you. You have maybe 3-4 people up, and you're over here. You're just auto attacking this lion that's limping away. He's dead, basically, but you just want to finish him off. So now what's going to happen? Well, let's say there's an Enigma right here that blinks back here. It's off cooldown. He's the last person alive. He's just trying to get out of there at this point. So he blinks right here. And you're over here, right? Your screen wasn't on the Enigma. So you go, hey guys, where was that Enigma? I really want to kill him so that we can completely wipe their entire team. If he goes down, maybe we push mid and we win the game. Something like that. So what do you have to take into account? Well, this Enigma is going to be right here, right? And, oh, I forgot to say, a really cool feature about Dota 2 is the use of pings. There's not too many callouts actually. They might say, oh, he's on the other side of mid, something like that. But a ping is basically a circle with an exclamation point on it that gets shown on like the ground of your game. And it's really useful in giving out exact spots that somebody wants to portray. So let's say the Enigma's right here and you're over here. So what can you do to kill this Enigma? Well, first of all, you're going to take into account where can the Enigma go. So maybe in a second he can be here. Maybe in a second, a third, a fourth. What are his travel routes? He can go up, he can go back mid, and he can go down to the right, right? Those are his travel options. But how are you going to say, hey, he could be this far in 1 second, this far in 2 seconds? How do you get that? Well, you're going to look at his base movement speed. You're going to look at any items that he has. So, maybe he has a Yule Scepter, or, I doubt it, but maybe he has boots or boots of travel. So he's going to be moving pretty fast now. And maybe any abilities that can help him traverse the ground, which he doesn't have because he's Enigma. So you don't have to worry about that. So all you have to worry about are his base movement speed and his items that he has that can make him move faster. He already used his blink, so he doesn't have that. He just has movement speed buffs. So what can you do as a puck down here when your team tells you he's right here? Well, you're going to project where can he move in the next few seconds. So like I did before, maybe in 1 second he can move here, in 2, in 3, and 4. That's where he can get to as the fastest he can. His radius in 4 seconds is here, here, and here. So there's going to be 2 different scenarios. There's one where he walks either here or here, and there's one where he walks here. And I'm going to discuss both, and then I'll discuss why they're really important in the next TF2 segment, which comes after this example. So what can you do as a puck down here? Well, you can look at yourself. Well, maybe you have good movement speed. You have definitely spells that can help you out. You have Illusionary Orb that helps you move across the map. You have a Blink Dagger probably, maybe a Yule Scepter, things like that, which are going to help you jump across and kill the Enigma. So initially, what are you going to think? Well, you're going to blink here, right? And you're going to say, if I blink here, well, I can see if he's coming down and to the right. So I'm going to blink here. If he's not coming here, then the only place I can really go to kill him is if he comes back up mid. So you're going to throw an illusionary orb at a perfect angle, which you're going to pre-calculate with your mind. You're going to say, if he can be here in 2.5 seconds, and my illusionary orb will hit here in 2.5 seconds, I'm going to throw it that it hits right here. If maybe I'm a little bit too quick and he can't get up here as fast, then I'll throw the illusionary orb at a lower angle, something like this, so that I know for sure that the orb is either going to connect with him or going to make him have to dodge the orb and have to come back a little bit towards mid. And maybe I'll have a Yules, maybe I'll have a Hex. Maybe I have something which I can just waste time. I'll use Waning Rift to silence him. I'll just waste time so that my team can walk up here and kill him. Because obviously I'm much faster than them, because I'm using all these spells to jump around the map. So let's say he's not here and he's not here. Well, this is also still a huge benefit. That means the only place he could have gone is up. So now he's trapped, in their jungle somewhere. So how can I use this? Well, this basically means we can push mid and he'll be behind us, right? Because if we come this way and he has to come all the way up here, it takes much longer. And also he's the only person anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. But we know where he's not, so that means we know where he is. So either if he comes here or here, he's dead. And if he comes here, we know where his positioning is, and we can use that against him. And in the next segment, I'm really emphasizing these two differences, because in the next point, I'll also describe these really in depth. And I forgot to say. So what are you required to know where he's going to be? Well, you just need you don't even need an advanced mindset of the game. You just need to be able to think, hey, he can move here in 1 second. He can move here in 1 second. It's just thinking about the game. You play the game so many hours, you should be able to expect where they're going to be within a few seconds of moving. There can only be a certain cap to where they can move, right? You can't just zoom, unless you're Bloodseeker or something. You can't just jump across the map instantly. You can only use spells and your movement speed to move. So you predict where they're going to be. It's much like landing Sunstrikes. You're just going to predict their movement and you're going to throw it on them. And I think it's very applicable in TF2. You're going to ask your teammates, where are they? Your teammate's going to tell you he's right here. He's somewhere specifically on the map right here, so that you can use these calculations to predict where the person is going to be within the next few seconds. And then you can use that to your advantage, so you can position yourself to go right at them and either kill them or figure out where they're not. And it's going to be really beneficial to not only you, but your team. In this part of the video, I'm now going to talk about why I think the callouts that I make can actually benefit communication within TF2. And I'm going to call upon the examples I just used, CSGO and Dota 2. How in those games they use instruments that they have to help them communicate well with their teammates. So I'm going to split this up into several parts as well. The first part, I'm going to explain why I think the current situation of callouts has a problem, basically. In the second part, I'm going to go from the top to the bottom of this page and just present the callouts that I've, produced myself. And then in the third part, I'm going to explain why I think the callouts, when used, will provide better communication to your teammates than with how they are now. So what do I think is the current problem with the callouts? Well, as it stands, this yard area covers all of this, right? And this train area covers all of this. And I think large areas like that should be broken up into little parts, which I'm going to explain why I think that in the third part. But I'm going to give an example of how it can be detrimental almost to give a generalized callout as opposed to a specific callout, and this is why it's a problem. So let's say your team is pushing in from Saw, and your team is pushing out from this main area into this yard area, which happens in the game very commonly. And let's say one of the soldiers over here hits a medic with a direct rocket over here by this part of the train. And let's say your team is pushing out a yard pretty successfully. They're moving up slowly. They're behind this hut area though. And remember, in TF2, you can only know what's on your screen and what your teammates tell you. So maybe maybe they're over here and they're just not looking over here because they're tunnel visioning over here to kill the person, or they're behind the hut and they can't see onto the point area, this whole second point. So when you say that there's a medic kit behind train, what are they going to think? Well, of course, here's train, here's in front of the train, and here's behind the train. So they're going to say, oh, well, the medic could be anywhere from here to here, because that's the train area. So what are they going to think? Well, there are a multitude of places the medic could go, right? Well, the medic could come here, pick up the mini health pack, the small health pack. The medic could come up ramp, or the medic could come over here to this large health pack, or the medic could run back up to this ramp over here. So there's so many possibilities, and they can't, because it's such a generalized call out, they can't assume where the medic's going to be and where they should attack from. And in the third part, I'm going to give the same example but with better callouts and explain why it is no longer a problem when there are more callouts. Right now, I think if you tell somebody they're in the yard, they could be anywhere from over here to over here, and that changes your positioning and how you're going to go and assert like your force into that area of the map. So now I'm going to go from the top to the bottom, and I'm just going to list off the different callouts that I'm going to present to you guys now. So this yard area, as I said before, covers a huge area, right? So we're definitely going to split this up. So this area right here, the edge of this grass, is going to be called tree. 4 letters, really easy to call out, right? Everybody knows there's one tree. That's all you got to say. This next area, from here to here, going like into this room, is going to be called 1, or main, as you see in the number right here. And that goes from here to here. The next is going to be either quad or 2. So 2 could cover this area in here, and quad could cover this area from here to here. And remember, I'm going to explain why I make so many specific callouts in a second. This next area over here is going to be called edge because it's the edge of the grass, the wood, and the concrete. This area over here is going to be called steps or stairs. As you see, there are stairs. And here's a window, so we're just going to call this under window. So moving on, this part is going to be called rail. This part is going to be called point. This part's going to be called hook because as you see there's a little bit of a hook on the end of the train. This is going to be called train. This is going to be called dirt. This is going to be called small. This is going to be called large if you want, or you can just call this area rail, of course. This is going to be called triple. This is going to be called ramp. This is going to be Africa still under the point. Pit is going to be here. This is going to be mini because it's a smaller version of the ramp. This is still going to be fence. This is still going to be drop. And this is still going to be cliff/deck, or what I call a little bit of a doorway. Or sometimes I'll call it window. So that's why I just, here we go. I presented them. So now you can see what they are. So now I'm going to present why I think they're beneficial. Well, let's say you say somebody is yard. Well, if they're here, what kind of positioning do they have? Well, they're next to the hut. They're next to a medipack. They're on this side of the map entirely. If you say someone's yard but they're under window, what does this mean? Well, they can go back out here to this main area. They can come up these stairs onto the train area. They can come under to Africa, right? Now somebody in the yard over here can't a second later just be all the way over here. That's not possible. And remember, we're talking about classes that have a little bit less mobility, like basically a medic. Any off classes are usually slow, or any wounded soldiers or demos. So that's what we're discussing here, and these are why I think callouts are going to be important, and what I'm going to explain in this next part. So what we talked about in the last couple examples of games, I said you can either know exactly where the person is positioned, and then go kill them instantly, or you can know where someone is positioned and expect where they will be in the next few seconds or a couple seconds, right? Because you'll know their movement speed, you'll know the abilities they have to change their movement speed and distance in the game. So let's say we're talking about a medic has low health. Well, a medic, all they have is their base movement speed. They can't run faster in any fashion, right? That's how it works. They don't have any rocket jumping abilities. So wherever they are, they can only move in a second the movement speed that they have, and 2 seconds double the movement that they would have in the first movement. So now I'm going to go back into that same point I talked about before, where the other team is pushing in, or no, your team is pushing in through saw, and you're pushing out here onto this yard area. So now the medic is over here, and this area is called dirt. So now instead of saying behind train, the person is going to call out, hey, wounded medic behind dirt, right? That's what they're going to say. So now what do you know? Well, because your team is aggressing over here in this yard area, the medic isn't going to come anywhere in this area. Because if they walk over here, it's basically suicide. And also, it's going to take a long time for the medic to walk all the way over here, and not take, any damage from a guy jumping here to here, maybe. Something like that. So you're going to assume the person is definitely not going to walk onto this left side, or else they're going to die. So what does this mean? Well, they're either going to drop down into pit, or they're going to walk back ramp. So how can you use this? Well, remember before we had two situations. The person over here is either going to come this way and try to kill the medic coming for the medipack, or going to come this way and try to kill the medic that's on ramp. But now, because we know the guy is in the dirt, in this specific spot, we can, we can think mentally. It's not hard at all to think that the medic isn't going to run all the way from over here to here. So we're gonna say, hey, he's not coming to the left. The only places he can go are back here, so I'm going to jump in this trajectory. And why is this important? Well, the closer you jump towards somebody, number one, the less distance it takes for maybe a rocket to hit the medic, and also the higher chances you have of being accurate with your shots. So that's why I think giving specific locations can help your teammates perform better. Because remember what we said with the Dota 2 example, where the puck is going to blink somewhere and then shoot the illusionary orb, or whatever it's called, out at a certain distance to where they expect the other person to be, because there's a radius for which the person can move. A medic can only walk so far away. For example, a medic that is here cannot be here within a second, right? There's a limit to their destination. So if you're over here and you're expecting, hey, the medic is just going to run away on a ramp, and you know that that's what they do because you've been playing the game for a long time, you know where they're going to play, maybe you look at their demos and you say, hey, this person does the same thing every time. Now knowing that they're over here instead of over here, you react perfectly and you jump over here and you kill the medic. Now we're going to assume, hey, maybe the medic was on hook, but the person called out, hey, they're behind train. If the medic is over here by the hook and your team is pushing in from saw, there's no way that the medic is going to come this way, right? So the only way the medic can move is back here or back here and run away. So what can you do with this? Well, then you can for sure jump, or rocket jump from over here to over here and just shoot the medic as he runs away. Because you know he's not going to run to the right. You know this because you are given a specific spot, and based off the circumstances going on in the round, you know where the medic is going to move. Positioning awareness is also really important when maybe you're on the defensive side. So let's say you're a medic over here, and you're pretty wounded, and there's a scout over here by this edge part of the map. What would you do? Well, you're definitely going to run this way, right? Because if a scout's over here and you run to the left, the scout shoots you and you die. Even if you're not wounded, why would you walk into the scout? Now, let's say the scout is over here and somebody tells you, the scout's right here and somebody tells you, oh, he's by the stairs. Well, what are you going to do? Well, maybe you try to be sneaky and you drop over here and pit and come over here, or you could come over here and run away. See, if the scout's over here, then you're going to run this way. And why would you do that? Well, you're definitely not gonna run this way, because if he's coming up the stairs, well, then he's gonna see you as you run this way, right? So you're gonna, and these calls are the same, right? It would be the same yard call and the same yard call. But by saying edge versus under window, it gives you a better presentation of where the enemy is, so that you can run away in the correct direction. And also, to those people that say, hey man, there's so many callouts that I'm not going to learn them all. In Counter-Strike, there are so many callouts for so many maps,
And they don't just know the callouts either. They know all the smokes, they know all the flashes. So there is no limit to the mental capacity you have for learning callouts for different maps. So that's what I say to those people.
So now for the rant part of the video. So first I'm just going to describe my background. I played this game years ago when I was in high school, only steel level, but that was because I couldn't devote any time. I had high school APs, 2 jobs, so I didn't really have too much time to devote to playing video games. So then after that I went and started playing Dota 2, and then I started playing CSGO, and now I'm trying to get back into TF2. But what's the problem that I'm facing? Well, I've noticed that the mental aspect of TF2 hasn't changed within the years, and I would like to, if I can, try to, improve this in any fashion. That's what I tried to do with this video, at least get people thinking about new things. So I'm going to start talking about other games, and I'm going to link it back to TF2, and I'm going to describe why no change is what I see as a problem. So after I was playing TF2, I started playing Dota 2. The game had been out for a while. My brother used to play Dota 1 all the time. I used to watch him play all the time. It was really fun. So I was like, I'm going to play Dota 2. So I played that for a while, and what is so different about Dota 2, CSGO, and TF2? Well, I'm going to describe it in terms of skill-based and mental-based. You have, can you just kill people, or can you position yourself to kill people? And I'm going to describe it through the different games, and then I'm going to come back to TF2. So for Dota 2, what do you have here? Well, it's not really hard to hit skill shots. It's not, hard to farm. It's not hard to micro, right? They're fairly easy things to do. Let's say you're a Bane, you don't really have to do any of those. So that's not a problem. That's not anything hard to, perfect at the game, right? But let's say you are a Bane. How can you be the best Bane in the world? Well, you have to do that by being really good mentally as a player. So you would have to know how much XP should I be getting, per minute. How can I position myself so that I get enough EXP but not too much? How can I, farm so that I get enough but I don't take it from, the carry? Should I pull? Should I not pull? How do I position myself in team fights so that I can use my spells effectively? Because, Bane's all about just point and click spells, not exactly about any skill shots, right? So I think the game itself is more about how mentally good are you? How can you position yourself so that you help your team win a team fight? How do you help your team win the game? Just by supporting or carrying, even carries, they have to position themselves properly every 10 seconds or more, just because the game keeps changing within it. So I think there's no real skill-based. Maybe you're going to play Meepo. Sure, you have to be skill-based, but that's one hero that isn't even played, right? Or at least didn't used to get played. But still, with that, you have to be able to position yourself perfectly as Meepo. You have to know how to micro all of them, where to micro all of them, and things like that, which is definitely the mental aspect of the game. Then, now I'm going to talk about CSGO. So what do I think about CSGO? Well, I think it's almost entirely skill-based. Basically, if you can't frag the other team, you just lose. If you're even slightly just worse than the other team in fragging ability, you're going to peek a corner and you're going to die before you kill them, right? Just because you're just bad, and you're going to be mad because you're bad. But, and that's why if you look at the top 2 teams, right, they don't really have in-game leaders that do much. Fnatic and Envious, they have amazing fraggers that can just blow out any sense of competition just because they can solely kill the other team. Sure, you have teams like LG, the Brazilians, who kind of revolutionized the game with their not only their work ethic, but their sense of making new smokes and smoke tactics and how to play the game and how to play each round differently and how to do fakes and all these things. Sure, they were part of the game, but they drastically improved the use of those. So definitely there is an aspect of, hey, how mentally good are you at the game? But remember how they took out Bolt and Steel? Well, they weren't fragging very well. And notice how much better they are with this new lineup than with Bolt and Steel. Because they basically had one dead weight and like a guy who wasn't doing too much. So, and like let's say a Fnatic will never lose to any
well, okay, well not ever, but will probably not lose to any like tier 2, tier 3 team because they can simply just outfrag them. It's not even a competition at that point. Whereas if you're at the same skill level, then you're gonna have to, you know, out tactic the other team. But of course, it won't even ever come to that if you're playing against one of those teams. So I think CS:GO is insanely skill based. You know, they talk about headshot machines all the time. It's just, can you kill the other team? Like, Scream is definitely not a smart player. We can agree on that, right? But he can hit people, or at least I'm going with the hype here. He's actually really bad in my opinion, but the hype is that anybody who comes in his crosshair, he kills. So you can't win a game if you're playing against somebody like that, right? So now I'm going to come to TF2. So what do I think about TF2, right? Well, TF2 I think is somewhere in the middle of each. Sure, and I think it depends largely on the class you're playing, as well as how you approach the game. So let's say you're a scout, right? Of course, you have to hit all of these, what are they called? I don't even remember. You have to hit all your shots. I forget what the type of shot is. It's like an instant hit. Like a scan, whatever it's called. So you have to have a huge skill, you know, in that you can hit people as the scout. But what else do you have? Well, as a scout, you have a double jump, you know, you have different, maybe you're going to use the bonk if you're doing like Highlander or something. I don't know too much about Highlander, but I think they use it there. So you're going to have all these things that help you position yourself better. You can run faster than the other team, you can double jump, all of this stuff. That's going to help you become a better scout if you can master that. So basically, as a scout, as a hit scan, that's what it is. As a scout, you don't just run left and, you know, shoot people, right? You're doing this, you're jumping left, you're double jumping, all of this stuff, so you don't get killed. You're positioning yourself really well so that you don't die, basically. Let's go into the next class, soldier. So soldiers they don't have hit scan, right? They have to shoot rockets, maybe that are rather far in distance. Sure, you know, they have a lot of close ones, which is just like, can you hit the person or not? But a lot of it comes down to, can you rocket jump yourself correctly, perfectly, so you get the right distance, you don't hurt yourself too much maybe you just have to know the rollouts. These aren't skills as much as they are, you know, anybody can rocket jump, right? But can you rocket jump perfectly so that you position yourself so you can help out your team the best? Maybe, do you know that in the correct fashion, there maybe you have multiple options of types of rocket jumps you can do at one point. What is the best one? Do you pick the best one so that your success rate increases? Things like that. Let's go into Pyro. I don't really know too much about the class, so I'm not going to say that. Demo Man. The only skill for Demo Man I would say is, can you pipe people close range? Or can you do rollouts? That's basically the only skill you have to master. Everything else is mentally about how can you position yourself. Because remember, Demo Man is all about, you know, like that mid-game range, right? Something around there. Can you position yourself that you're always in the correct space away from the enemy so you can do, you know, the maximum damage? You don't get caught out anywhere. You know, a lot of demos are super aggressive and they don't compensate by being really skillful. So they're just, you know, they don't hit shots, but they think they can, so they always aggress. If you're not as skillful, you should definitely come back and, you know, think about how you position yourself, because you don't have to be the best to be, like, you don't have to hit all the certain pipes. You have to know just where to throw the pipes so that they will hit people at least. You know, you're trying to maximize your DPM, stuff like that. Let's talk about medic. So medic, the only skill I would have is, can I hit, you know, crossbows, right? Things like that. But all about medic is, how can I position myself? So number one, I don't die. Number two, I don't play too aggressively. So like, let's say my team's here and saw, right? I shouldn't be in front of them. I should Uber when we have to. Maybe there's a trap that we're Ubering through. Then I definitely have to use it. Things like this. When do I use the Uber? When do I not use the Uber? How do I position myself so I don't drop? All of these things are not skill-based, but they're like mental-based. How much do you know about the game? How much can you exploit about the game? Even Sniper. You could say Sniper's probably one of the most skill-based classes because you just sit there and pop people's heads off, but you have to know where to stand, right? But I would say Sniper is the most like skill versus mental-based. What else is there? There's a spy. So a spy, you know, of course, can you headshot people with the ambassador, maybe? but also it's, can you position yourself so you're getting all these saps, all of these, you know, backstabs that are super important to the game. Can you do this? Do you know the game well enough that you can actually consistently, you know, kill people instead of just every round, you know, you walk in and somebody catches you out and you die, because then you suck and you haven't done anything for your team. It's all about how can you help the team out, right? So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about both three games about how much requirement is based off each individual player. So in CSGO, let's say you have somebody that's super bad on your team, but you can kill their entire team yourself. You win, right? In Dota 2, let's say, you know, you have one super bad guy that's feeding. Your team maybe, like, probably won't win the game because you need all 5 players to perform, right? You can't just carry a game when your teammates aren't helping you out. Now let's talk about TF2. Well, technically, you know, you can't really carry the game yourself either, right? But let's say one person isn't doing very much. Sure, it's going to be a huge impact on the game, but it doesn't mean the game's over. Like, let's say one of your scouts isn't performing the best, but everybody else is. You can still win the game, definitely. You know, people have off games, and their team still wins, right? Sometimes I have shitty games as medic, but my team, you know, is just compensating for it because they're really good still. So that's why I think like TF2 is in the middle between like skill and mental wise, and this is why I think this is why I'm confused why communication hasn't improved at all within this game over the years. The callouts are still the same. People still make the callouts the same. One thing I've noticed as well is that people don't say where people are going. So, like, let's say you die to somebody, you should definitely say, hey, I died here, and he's probably going to go here. Something like that, if you know. Or if you can assume he's going to go here, you tell your teammates that, right? People don't do that. I think the callouts are super outdated. Not that they're outdated, that they should be improved, and they should have improved over the years. So that's my rant for that stuff. Hope you liked the video. You know, if you watched the whole video, I'm amazed, honestly. I don't even know if I would have watched this. But, you know, hopefully you got something out of this. Give me, you know, any comments below. You know, like or dislike. If you dislike, obviously, at least tell me why you dislike it in the comments. Subscribe if you like the channel at all. I'll probably try to make more videos. I don't know. Maybe I'll make like a medic frag video. That'll be cool. Who knows? But I hope you liked the video at least. And thanks for watching.